FM Radio, bringing you hot, small on a weekly basis. Your participation is important.
Good morning and welcome to yet another edition of The Burning Issue here on the Happy Word of 5 FM Radio. And we sure hope that you had a great long weekend, and we sure hope that you celebrated the late but indeed founder and first president of the Republic of Zambia in KK, and that was KK Day yesterday. We sure hope you had a great day. And yes, we are back and back to business. We are back on The Burning Issue, and I'm your host, Zachariah Banda. And I would also like to acknowledge the fact that we are not only live on 5FM radio on 89.9 in Lusaka, but we are also live on our partner radio stations, Spice FM in Kabwe and covering Central Province on 91.1 FM, and also live on Z radio, that is ZFM on 100.3 in Kapiri, covering also the greater part of Central Province. We are also live on Tuta FM in Mansa, covering Wapula Province on 90.7 FM. And on the Copper Belt, we are well covered. We are live in Ndola, and covering the rest of the Copper Belt is Platinum Radio on 99.7. We are also live on our Facebook page, that's 5FM Radio Zambia. And remember that later on in the course of the program, I will give you, our listeners, an opportunity to call in and interact with our guest in case you've got questions or contributions to make. My guest, therefore, this morning, let me introduce my guest, is Dr. Richard Silumbe. He is president of the Leadership Movement Party. Welcome to the program. Always a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity once again to be on 5FM radio.
Great. And so Leadership Movement, how are we doing? We are in a critical period, considering the fact that we are left with a year, so to speak, because next month, next year, Parliament will definitely be dissolved. It simply means that you are in gear, basically, to get it. But obviously, for you must do the needful, and the needful being you must mobilize your members and obviously win more souls to the party. Happening?
Well, first of all, we are just coming from celebrating the day, Kenneth Kaunda Day, his birthday.
Right.
And this should remind us as Zambians, this was a great leader, a leader who mobilized this country to a level of us getting political independence. And what type of a leader was Kenneth Kaunda? Kenneth Kaunda, among other leaders, the likes of Godwin Mbikusi-Wanika, Hari Mwanga Nkumbula, and Simon Mwansaka Pwepwe, Kenneth Kaunda led a revolution that was not based on chitenge materials, a revolution that was not based on t-shirts, handouts, 100 kwachas, 50 kwachas. It was a genuine revolution that came from conviction that we as a people must be independent from colonialism. That is the kind of leadership that Kenneth Kaunda provided. And we got that independence. We fought for it. And from there on, we saw a country being led by true leaders. Those were leaders who developed this country from the kind of village that Zambia was to the Zambia that we see it today. Nothing after Kenneth Kaunda can be as significant in terms of development. Look at the first National Development Plan Kenneth Kaunda laid out. We had the University of Zambia built. We had Zambia Tazara built. We had a lot of infrastructure, Findeco House, you can name them, Indeco House, and all these. So the Lusaka we see today was essentially developed by Kenneth Kaunda. So now, that kind of leadership is the leadership that we as leadership are tapping from. Mind you, when we say the leadership movement, we are looking at the problem that we have today. We are having a leadership problem in Zambia, and we are accustomed to politicians voting into office, politicians who have nothing to offer to this country, who do not have conviction, no love for this country. They only think of themselves, how they can reach and how can swindle the Zambian people. The sooner the Zambian people start recognizing what leadership is, the better for this country. Because the true leaders, like the likes of Kenneth Kaunda, they put Zambia at the heart of their leadership. And they tapped into what is best in the Zambian people, contrary to what we are seeing today. These politicians we have been putting in power, they are the ones who have brought Zambia to where it is today, where it has no direction. We have auctioned everything that God has given us to foreigners. Talk of the mines, talk of the land, swaths of land that is being given to foreigners, so-called foreign investors. And we Zambians are remaining as squatters in our own country. So these are the issues, the critical issues that we are taking to the Zambian people as we mobilize for the 2026, because we want the Zambian people to understand why are they voting for leaders, for politicians. What is it that they are going to offer? They need to listen to these politicians and sift through and find out what is best for this country. Any person who campaigns based on foreigners, bringing foreigners into this country, bringing foreign investment into this country, having partners and so on and so forth, Zambians should be able to see between the lines and see that these are the usual sellouts that we have to come into this country, auction all the mines, give foreigners tax holidays and tax breaks, and leave this country worse than they found it. They devastate the country, and as much as they are getting kickbacks, as much as they are getting rich, it doesn't matter for them. So we, the Zambian people, must take leaders into accountability. We need to check, scrutinize, listen to what is in their hearts, only being motivated by those t-shirts, 100 kwachas. Then after we vote, then we say, no, they lied to us. What type of a society are we? We need to scrutinize leaders. This is why leadership movement is based on developing a new set of leaders. This is why leadership movement is essentially a school of thought, where we can manufacture ideas that can develop this country. This is why we talk about all those pillars that will develop this country, because this country can only develop when we, the Zambian people, love our country and take hold of our natural resources. When we take care and we own our minerals, we own our land, and we own our capital, our human capital. When we do that, then we are ready for development. As long as we have leaders who do not speak to what is best in our people, in what we have as Zambians, to the youths, we need to tap what is best in them, what is best in us, and use it, whether it is human capital, whether it is energy of the young people, whether it is talent of the young people, and we make use of it, and out of which we interact with our natural resources and produce products. When we produce those products, we'll be good to go as a country. It's about owning our land, owning our natural resources, owning our human capital, putting young people to work and be productive. This is the fundamental issue that we need to explore if we are to see development as a people in this country. And this is what leadership movement speaks. These are the issues that we are speaking when we go out there in the campaigns.
And of course, I would want to structure this program in a way that we are now looking at the next leadership after 2026 elections. Assuming that you win the election, I would want us to sort out a good number of issues. The Constitution, right, which right now we have proposed amendments to it. And if you won the election, what will be your agenda on the amendment of the Constitution? Secondly, we may be going into the 26 election still an energy crisis, most likely. How do you plan to resolve this energy crisis that we are still experiencing today, in as far as electricity subsector is concerned? How then will you still be at the issue of the cybersecurity? We are hearing some opposition political parties talking about how they intend to come and reverse it should they get into power. Do you have plans of doing that as well? But first and foremost, let's start with the Constitution Amendment. What is the position of leadership movement with regards the proposed amendments? And do you intend to further amend the Constitution should you be in government?
First of all, these are the issues that we are speaking about. When you are in power, you are never going to worry about the constitution, because a constitution is just a set of rules, a piece of paper, essentially, that directs a society on how to rule itself. So if you have leadership, you are not going to have issues with it. But we have politicians who came to use the constitution to maintain their advantage in power. This is the bone of contention here. We have a constitution that brought forth this president and this government, and when they were in opposition, they were saying the constitution is just okay. It has no problems. They promised the Zambian people cheap meal prices. They promised the Zambian people no load shedding and cheap tariffs in terms of electricity, energy, fuel. They promised cheaper fuel. They promised a lot of things. When they came into power, if they thought that actually we have a problem with the constitution and they started working on the constitution, maybe would have understood, maybe would have given them a benefit of doubt. But they forgot about that because they thought that was okay. The issue is about Barry, we'll fix it. We'll fix the economy. And 4 years down the line, what do we have? We have the price of meal that has tripled, if not quadrupled. We have the price of fuel that has tripled, if not quadrupled. We have load shedding that is perpetual. We never used to have load shedding in this time, but now we have load shedding like to an infinity level. This government has failed terribly. The UPND government has failed because it was a government by schemers, people who thought that they are only coming into power to enrich themselves. They didn't love the country. They have nothing to do with the welfare of the future of this country. This is why on the campaigns, they talked about having good connections, that they are going to bring foreigners. Americans are essentially going to come, take over our minds, and make this country great again. What did we get? They did that because that was their conviction. They have given back KCM to Vedanta. They have given back all our minerals to foreigners. They've signed deals with America that we, the Zambian people, can't put our hands on lithium. Only Americans are going to dig and mine lithium. They have done that. They gave tax breaks and tax holidays to foreigners on day one. And they fulfilled those promises for their funders, the people, the foreigners who actually helped them to come into power. What have they fulfilled for the Zambian people? Nothing. Everything they promised the Zambian people. Remember the famous, when we are sewn in at 10 hours, the dollar will come tumbling down at 14 hours. It never happened because they thought that Americans are coming with dollars here. Alas, the economy doesn't work like that. The economy only works on production. When you are able to produce tangible products and selling out there, then you inspire dollars to come into your country. All these things, they failed lamentably. And what have they left with? In the fourth year, after seeing failure everywhere, they have now decided to start tinkering at the constitution. Because now they have lined up a number of good things that Zambians, when they look at face value of the constitution amendment, they'll say, oh yes, this is good. It's in goodwill, or it has good intentions. Yet, the truth lies elsewhere. What is in that constitution is about increasing the number of MPs in their strongholds. They will never come to the Zambian people and tell them which constituencies they are they want to delimitate. Delimitation is only in their strongholds. Example, Kapirimposhi. That's a stronghold for UPND, and Southern Province, and so many other constituencies in their stronghold. That will give them undue advantage. When it comes to other points in the constitution, again, you'll find that it's all about increasing their advantage. The constitution in its format, it has no problem. When we talk about the issue of people filing in, when someone withdraws from a nomination, for instance, before an election, the constitution says we need to go for filing in again, refiling in and then we for nominations and all that. That is resource draining. We all know that, and it used to happen. And the UPND, by the way, defended it. It took only the leadership movement who wrote to ECZ when a candidate was stolen, he was paid off by another political party, and he was forced to resign, to withdraw from an election. And the ECZ was required to request for new nominations. And we, as leadership movement, we wrote to ECZ that we cannot tolerate, as a party, abuse of government resources. Therefore, we requested ECZ to go ahead with an election. That is the wisdom of a political party that comprises leaders. Only leadership movement did that. All these other political parties, they were requesting for new nominations. We said it is not necessary. We can go ahead even though the leadership movement is not there. And what happened? The ECZ thanked the leadership movement and wrote to us, said, this will create precedence. Because you have done this, it has empowered us to carry on even if someone withdraws. From that point, you have never heard the ECZ go on for new filing in of nominations, thanks to the leadership movement. We did that and we set the precedence. That precedence we set, we solved it, and it doesn't require now ECZ to do that. And it has been doing, taking elections when people are actually withdrawing, but they have been continuing. And no one complains because it was wisdom. Now, the UPND government tells us that, oh, there's nothing we can do. We just have to change the constitution. It doesn't need the change of the constitution. It needs wise leaders to say, we are going in this direction. And we did it. And ECZ, from that time, they have not been requesting for new nominations when a candidate withdraws, thanks to the leadership movement. That is leadership. So that point has got no issue. It's water under the ground. Now, let's come to other issues. Many of these, they talk about, oh, we want young people to participate in elections, therefore we have to amend the constitution. We ask ourselves, UPND is in power. Out of all those MPs they have, how many are young people? Out of all these by-elections we have been having, only the leadership movement has been putting in or floating young people. It's only the leadership movement. We have been putting young people to stand on our ticket. The UPND has never. They have never nominated any MP who is a young person, let alone a female. So when they are telling the Zambian people that they want women to participate, they want young people to participate, where is the evidence? Where is their leadership? Nothing. It's all about manipulating the Zambian people, because they have masses who follow them blindly, and they will listen to that and they will jubilate. But we, the leadership movement, who saw them even from before 2021, we knew that the UPND government will never deliver anything. For the Zambian people, we said it, nobody listened to us. And we are seeing it today, and we are saying it, and we are seeing their schemes today. We are seeing them now trying to change the constitution, trying to amend the constitution, all for their advantage, to hide certain things they want to do, to continue being the dominant force in parliament and to continue their stay in power. So the agenda for amendment of the constitution has got no goodwill apart from the ill-fated will just to continue their stay in power. And there is nothing the Zambian people can even see. If we saw the UPND government, for instance, nominating more women out of the 8 MPs that they are required, so to say, to nominate, they have nominated all old people, and there is no female out of them. What are they telling us? That they can change the constitution now to support women or young people? There is no evidence. Then when we talk about increasing the number of MPs which are supposed to be nominated, we know that.
But when it comes to nomination by the president, I mean, I think that he has nominated a few women. I mean, I think one of them nominated is Honorable Mtinta Mazoka, who is a nominated member of parliament.
Out of 8, 1. Does that show any seriousness about supporting women? When you have 100 and something MPs who are men, you only nominate 1 female. Does that make sense to you? Doesn't make sense. I don't know whether it makes sense to any Zambian out there. It does not make sense. How many young people have they nominated? Nothing. So now, in the constitution, we are guided that we are supposed to nominate only 8 MPs. They want to change the constitution so that the nomination of the number of nominated MPs is silent in the constitution, so that they can just go in parliament and say, now we are nominating 100. Imagine if the UPND fails to reach 50 plus 1, and then they continue in power and they nominate 100 MPs. Are they not going to change the constitution and continue with ruling? They are going to do that. The moment they just amend this constitution, it will give them power to go in parliament with 100 more nominated people and change the constitution to whatever they want it to be, and put new laws, because there will be a majority and there will be more than 2/3 majority. It's about increasing the majority numbers. We want the constitution to stay the same. We should know the number of nominated MPs in the constitution, because that's the guide that we have. Anything less of that is a scheme, and the UPND are up for no good but to and actually steal from the Zambian people the power to change government. These are the issues that we are talking about as leadership movement, and I'm on record to say the Zambian people should reject this constitutional amendment. We want it on record. Of course, we cannot change the fate of the constitution because we do not have MPs there. But the onus is on those people who are in parliament to make sure that this does not go through. If it happens, it will be sorry sight for the Zambian people. But all we can say is that this is a scheme. If Zambians don't see it today, they'll see it in the future. And it has been like that. We said the UPND is a scam, and they voted them in. So today, the Zambian people, now they can understand that a scam in power, and nothing is happening, and poverty continues. Until that time when Zambians will start realizing and listening to the politicians and ensure that they vote for leaders and not politicians in power. Leaders who are going to take care of their welfare, take care of this country and its natural resources, and energizes development in the country.
Well, let's now move to energy crisis. Like I said in my preamble to these three important issues that I lined up, I did make mention that there's a likelihood that this energy crisis, in terms of electricity crisis, is likely to take us right into elections as well next year. But then you should be going into your campaigns with alternatives to crisis such as this. What is on the agenda for you as a movement?
The leadership movement has been clear. We know that we have the 5 beta kappa key to this problem. The key is nuclear power production. We know that we have uranium in Solwezi. No politician would talk about that because they have put uranium to be an American property. We as leadership movement, we have been clear. We want that uranium that we have to be used. We want nuclear power plants in this country. We want a nuclear power plant for many reasons. Number one, a small nuclear power plant will produce up to 15,000 megawatts. When you have a nuclear power plant, you forget about Kafue North Bank, you forget about, Kafue Gorge, Kariba North Bank, and all these, because they produce little power compared to nuclear power production. And nuclear power production is the buzzword for this world. When people tell you that, oh, nuclear is dangerous, look at what is happening. China is building nuclear power plants everywhere. Europe is going nuclear. Just 4 months ago, in Georgia, they were open nuclear power plant. And this assertion that, oh, nuclear energy is very dangerous, it is a way of colonizing our minds. You know, we'll give you history. In 1800s, when electricity was discovered, people were scared of having electricity in their homes because they thought it's dangerous. They saw how could a short circuit would devastate a house, until they developed insulators to wires, and they had to package electricity in a way, and it took serious advocacy for people to accept electricity in the houses. And it has happened today. We as leadership movement are the pioneers of nuclear power production, because we know that nuclear energy is green. When we say it's green, it means that it's clean. It's energy that does not provide much dirtiness, because the nuclear ash, which is the waste, the nuclear waste, it will come after 5 years when uranium has decayed to the level that you cannot use it anymore. And it's very literal. You can package it, you can put it underground and all that. The nuclear waste does not come so frequently the way coal power production using coal happens. So now, when we talk about disasters that have happened in this world, there are only about 2. The one which happened in Fukushima, and we know what happened there. It was because of an earthquake, and the nuclear power production site was shaken by an earthquake and it exploded. Now, when it comes to Chernobyl, the one that happened in the 80s in Ukraine, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster was as a result of negligence. You know, usually nuclear reactions are moderated by boron rods. When boron rods are inserted down there, they excite, they produce more protons, and the nuclear, reaction grows. More energy is produced there. It becomes very hot. So when they pull up the boron rods, the nuclear reactivity slows down and reduces. So now there was a technical fault there. When an engineer was thinking of reducing the reaction, the nuclear activity there, instead of pulling out the boron rods, they were actually inserted, and the nuclear reaction became more rampant and exploded the whole nuclear site. That was the only nuclear disaster that is known by the world, which was as a result of negligence. And there are only 2. One caused by natural effects, which was Fukushima natural disaster, and the Chernobyl which was as a result of negligence by engineers. So now, when we talk about nuclear power production here in Zambia, we have everything, all the raw materials. We have boron in Kabwe, we have uranium in Solwezi. We have everything. We have cement. We can build a nuclear power plant and reinforce it and produce power as a result of nuclear reaction. So these are the things that we have. We have water. We have bodies of water in so many bodies of water. We have Lake Mweru, Lake Mweru-Wantipa, Bangoulu, and we have also Lake Tanganyika. All those are potential sites for nuclear power production. And these are the things that we need to talk about. We have been talking about them as leadership movement. But you know what? People will not listen. People won't listen. And we are happy today as leadership movement because now we are hearing from other opposition politicians talking about nuclear power production because we have been frequent, we have been relentless. We have been talking about this. We have been consistent because we know that that is the ultimate solution. There is nothing hacking at the leaves. There is but one strike at the root. We can solve this issue of load shedding, not those petty ideas we're hearing from the UPND. Very shallow people we call leaders talk about, we are going to bring solar. You have seen how solar cannot solve the problem when it comes to production. You cannot run certain machines on solar. You can't just do that. You cannot run your kitchen with solar. These things. Now we are resorting to gas. How much is gas? Do we produce methane here in Zambia? We don't. Why should we be doing things that we want to be colonized, to be dependent on gas that we don't have? We as leadership movement are going back to real production of electricity so that we can make use of our natural resources and run our fridges, our cookers, again, our stoves, everything normally because we are producing our products and power can be produced with the resources that we have here in Zambia. But politicians will never talk about that. They'll talk about petty solutions, solar or wind. Do you have air here in Zambia? How many winds, trade winds do we have? We have no trade winds. But you hear narrow-minded politicians who tell you those things. They'll talk about things that they don't even have any basis. We should be talking about the real solution. We have uranium. We can excite uranium that we have. We have partners.
But how long
long
will it have to take to set up a power plant of that sort, nuclear power plant, as you suggest?
You know, I am happy today as the leader of the leadership movement because when we were talking about these ideas, we were looking like we are in a foreign country that does not understand us. But now, why we are happy as leadership movement? Because now we can point to another African nation where a leader has been put in power. Ibrahim Traore. You were seeing 2 years ago, he got power. And what is happening 2 years down the line? He nationalized his gold, his mines, and within 1 year, he paid off all the debt. He had about 5-point-something billion US dollars. He paid off all the debt. He's now developing the country. He's building roads everywhere. He's put his people into production. And he has built a nuclear power plant. A nuclear power plant, which so many theorized physicists in this country, I argued with so many, who are produced here in Zambia, educated with a colonial education, feeding the UPN that, actually it will take 10 years to have a nuclear power plant here in Zambia. I said, you theorist engineers who are good for nothing in this country, you are the ones contributing to this kind of degeneration in the country. We can put our head to production. We can actually have a nuclear power plant within years. Me, I'm trained in Russia. We have seen how nuclear power plants are built within a short period of time. And now we are happy that Ibrahim Traore, within 2 years, has built a nuclear power plant. And these are the things that Zambians should be following, because that is leadership. These are the kind of things we have been talking about, we have been laboring. And because we have a very colonial cloud here in Zambia, whatever leadership movement talks about, people cannot understand them until maybe they see it somewhere else. When they see a 37-year-old young Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso, transforming Burkinabe's life, seeing how Burkina Faso is changing into self-sustainable production. We talked about electric cars. Many people laughed at us. But Ibrahim Traore, within 2 years, they are producing electric cars, Sahel cars. These are produced there in Burkina Faso. They are making planes. This is the kind of development we envision as leadership movement. But unfortunately, we have a society that believes in putting in power people who are at their retirement age, 60 years. They put you at 60 years. What are you going to do? Your brain has expired. You have no energy. You have nothing to offer to the world. Then they say, oh, you will not wake up. That is craziness, a part of society. Here is a 37 years young man who is leading his country, full of ideas, and is doing that, and is experimenting, and the whole world is shocked at what he's capable of achieving. Here in Zambia, when we talk about these things, they will look at your age, they will look at how you look, and they say, it's nothing. We want some old, retired, completely with their head expired. That's what they want. As long as they have given them t-shirts, chitenge materials, and 100 kwacha, they are crazy, and they are now worried why things have not happened. Instead of looking for another leader now who can deliver, they are now going back to Egypt. Oh, we want now to go back to Egypt. That's the kind of craziness. But we are not worried as leadership movement. This is why we're in this game. We are here to preach. We are here to educate. We want the Zambian future to be different, to have leaders now who love the country. This is why we talk about these things. And we're not doing these things for elections. We are doing it because it's a school of thought. Because it's a school, we want young people to start capturing the new vision for this country. Young people should start asking themselves, why can't we make our own cars here in Zambia? Why can't we own our copper here in Zambia? Why can't we do things as Zambians? Why should foreigners own our land? Why should we not have title deeds? If these things are lingering in young people's minds, then we as leadership movement are good to go, and we are relevant, because the future generations will look at things differently. They will look at Ibrahim Traore. They will idolize such a leader, and one day they would want to see a leader who looks like Ibrahim Traore here in Zambia, speaking to what is best in us, energizing us, looking at how a Zambian himself can flourish and bring about development, producing our own products, not selling copper as it is, adding value to it, processing gold, and actually producing products out of it. This is the kind of mindset that we are preaching wherever we go as a leadership movement, because we know that only when we labor today can we produce leaders in future. Young people who are going to look at themselves in and look into the mirror and see their soul, connect to their soul, and say, I am a Zambian. I have a responsibility to develop this country. And my labor, my energy, my mind should contribute to the development of this country. So if we have such people, then leadership movement will be ready for this country, because we are going to have ZNS state farms in every district. And when we have ZNS state farms, we are not going to have youths who only wants cash for work, who only wants handouts and all these things. Young people are going to say, I have energy, I am going into ZNS, I'm contributing because I want my children to come and see a country that is developed. Not what we are seeing today, because they are tired, because the UPND has no more agenda. The agenda of capitalism has failed. Everything they dreamed of have failed. Now they go back to nationalistic ideas of the leadership movement. They start now echoing the views of, oh, we want ZNS mines. Oh, we want now ZNS maize. How can you sell ZNS milling? You don't have ZNS state farms. We need state farms every district. How can you destroy the economy and stop every Zambian who is producing? Imagine a Zambian farmer who has worked so hard and he has produced 100 bags of maize, and because you are running a country with very much weakness and laziness in the government, so much that ZNS has got no state farms, they don't do anything, they are in the borders, and someone with 100 bags he wants to sell because he doesn't want to sell 300 kwacha per bag here in Zambia because he bought fertilizer at a very expensive price. He wants that 100 bags to be sold in Congo at 2 pin or 1.5 per bag, and then he goes there, then you confiscate everything. You say, oh, he's a smuggler, and you think that you can bring down the dollar. You can never until you think how development works. This is what we are talking about as leadership movement. We want state farms in every district, and by doing so, we are going to free all these farmers to produce their own maize because we have supported them, we have given them title deeds, and they can take their maize wherever they want to take, whether it is in Congo, in Zimbabwe, and sell at a high and come into this country with a lot of dollars and develop their place. That is development. That is trade. Those are the ideas that we talk about, not this kind of environment where governments are in power with no idea and people vote for them, not because they have good ideas, but because the government, the opposition political party went and got a lot of money from foreigners to give as handouts to the country so they can vote for them. Now they are paying back. Now Zambians have already sold the country. No matter how much they get angry at what is going on, they sold the country off. Whenever you wear a red t-shirt and a chitenge material, know that you have contributed to the selling of this country, because you do not ask yourself, where did the money for that chitenge material you are wearing came from? Where did that 100 kwacha you got came from? You don't ask those questions. You want to blame the same people you put in because they got money from foreigners and they gave you a handout, and you are excited and you say, oh, this is the only political party, and you are now disappointed because you are part and parcel of selling this country off.
Now, you, like you earlier said, I think on the energy part, you are an engineer trained in Russia. You've also trained in Korea. You, at your age, should be enjoying employment in any of those countries, like probably other Zambians are doing. We have, and then you come to Zambia. I'm beginning to think, obviously it's patriotism at core, at the center of it all. You've gotten into this game. You know you're likely to be frustrated. You will not be young anymore. At the time, you will probably be convincing Zambians to vote for you and put you in power and bring to life all that you've talked about. Do you think that, where are you getting the confidence and the hope that you will actually eventually convince that very Zambian to give you a vote and believe in your vision as leadership movement?
Listen, by second year in my university time, I had decided that I'll participate in political affairs and give the country part of my ideas. That was by 2002, 2003. I had decided that. So it didn't matter. I completed my bachelor's degree in Russia, moved on despite being given a free master's degree in Russia, in Moscow State University. But I decided to expand my horizon of thought, and I accepted a Samsung South Korea government sponsorship, and I went to South Korea. I did my master's there. I did my PhD there, knowing that my employment with Samsung Electronics was guaranteed, but I turned it down. I came to Zambia because I knew that I have to contribute to the welfare of this country. Very few people who go out there would come easily because they feel that they have nothing here in Zambia. Therefore, they hold on to those opportunities in the foreign land. But I know that the only true freedom, the only true freedom of thought and contribution, you can only enjoy it in your own country, in your own land. That is the reason why I made a decision to come back to Zambia in 2007 and start developing. And apart from participating in politics,
did you come back to get a job in Zambia?
I have never asked for a job. I never came to get a job here in Zambia. I came with ideas of making companies, making something. And when you ask me, did I get money? I had the way of making money because I had great ideas. I developed organizations, I developed companies, and up to today, I'm driven by that type of background that I created. I have a number of companies. And apart from that, that is personal, and I don't discuss it here. I have my way of feeling that the only way to contribute to this country is by harnessing the political horizon. Look at this. You can attend any school. It is very small, and it compared to a rally where a politician speaks to thousands of people and feed them with nonsense, feed them with dancing and all kinds of entertainment. We as leadership movement, we want to make use of those platforms where thousands come and we give them the information that builds them, the information that makes them capable, make them take a new look at themselves and say they matter to this country, and make them feel like they should contribute to the development of this country. So we have been questioning that. If we stay away in our private lives, we are better. We can make money, but we came in the political arena to contribute to the development of this country, not to make money. Contrary to all these politicians who are desperate today, you are seeing forming all kinds of formations, communities, just for the sake of getting back into power and start getting money out of it.
Yeah.
Our agenda is to educate the Zambian people, re-educate the Zambian people, make them understand that only through their own hands, their own labor, on their own sacrifices, can we develop Zambia again,
Yeah.
and ensure that we own this country in totality.
Yeah, but here is a big question that Zambians have started asking, and they've started asking this question. They started asking this question some time back, and I hear it, and they always talk about, if truly you are a leader who wants to rule this country, even in your opposition state, you must be able to show that this is what you are doing, and that it's not just about you getting into power, but you must be walking your talk even while in opposition. You must show your leadership even while in opposition. All the knowledge that you have, I mean, you went out and got your knowledge, and you are a doctor today, you have a PhD. In what you believe in, people will say, how are you already passing your knowledge into the young Zambians, if at all you are? How are you contributing to this society from the knowledge that you have amassed?
I am contributing to this country in a very vast way. But I always feel that whatever I do in my personal capacity should never be brought into political arena. The reason being, I don't want to be like the past politicians. We are very much accustomed to politicians who are braggadocious. It almost feels like you are bragging. Why should you talk about your personal success or your personal goals?
But politics require that you should be known, because Zambians want to vote in a politician they know. They don't want to bring in a politician whose lifestyle is hidden, because that again becomes an issue with a Zambian voter, because then they'll say, no, we don't know this person. And I think that when you come to the public fora like this one, the political fora, you have no choice but you must be known.
Let me give you examples of all those type of politics that we want to get rid of. And personally, as leadership movement president, I don't take after the usual politicians. I don't adore or rather copy from what we have today, because I'm a revolutionary leader. I want to copy from the likes of Kenneth Kaunda. The likes of Kenneth Kaunda didn't come on the political arena saying, no, me, I'm this, me, I'm that. They appealed to the Zambian people. What together with the Zambian people they can achieve. I think that is the best platform. Not the platform where you say, oh, I have a lot of money. We have seen all those politicians bragging around. They came on this platform. Oh, I can cook beans with my 100 kwacha. Where are they today? And many people believed they are rich. Oh, I can go and have a tea in UK and come back in the afternoon. That is the kind of mindset that we want to get rid of, country, as leadership movement, because that has got nothing to do with leadership. That has got only things to do with braggadocious attitudes and distraction and making Zambians to run for money. We want a youth who lives in themselves, not a youth who thinks that they are worthless because they don't have anything. Anybody matters. So this is the point. Let me finish.
But would you allow me, as your interviewer, to tell you that I have done a bit of my investigations on a number of my guests. I have done my investigations on you. If I asked you some questions, would you be willing to respond based on what I have discovered about you?
You can ask. If I feel that I can answer.
So I do also understand that you, Dr. Silumbe, are running a university in this country. And despair or not, ICU University is a university under your name. Is that true?
Those are personal issues. Those are personal issues.
Is that true? Is this one way that you are saying you are impacting on Zambian lives through that university?
Let me tell you this. I do not only deal with university issues. Actually, I deal with sponsorship. Lots of sponsorship for students under the Zambia Research and Development Center. So that is where my heart belongs. I do research and development. And in that arena, I do many things. But that is not an issue for today. The issue is we need a kind of leadership that is well-informed, a kind of leadership that brings a Zambian to being and to awareness that we can be productive. That is the agenda. The agenda is about informing the Zambian people so that we as Zambians can be productive. So those are the areas that we want to be specific about and to specialize. We need a government that thinks about the young people. Millions of people are languishing in the streets. They have no jobs. And as leaders, we know that every Zambian, educated or not educated, they have something to contribute to the development of this country. So it's not about the certificates. It's not about the papers. It's not about all those things. It's about what we as a people, because we are created in the image of God and we can contribute. Somebody may have talent. Somebody may have maybe more belt, more energy. All these things are qualifications. So when we talk about ZNS state farms, ZNS mines, we want this country to run the mines. We don't want a situation where we have Kasenseri and we have sent a foreigner there and we have stopped Zambians by the who can pick gold everywhere. We want ZNS mine there, digging gold, and we can produce. And anybody can get a job there, because we are going to have ZNS mines dotted around this country. When we have a lot of ZNS mines in Mukush, where young people are able to dig gold, manganese, and they have nowhere to sell manganese to because our government doesn't participate in mining. Therefore, they will sell to a Chinese who is going to get. The other time I asked, they told me that they are selling 50 kwacha per ton. Imagine a young person digs 1 ton of manganese and they sell it at 50 kwacha to a Chinese who is going to sell that manganese at 2,500 US dollars world market to outsiders. Because we as government, we have said we cannot put our hands on our minerals. We as leadership movement want the mineral reserve agency, so that those young people, instead of selling to Chinese, those Jerabos in copper belt, instead of selling to Chinese, someone gets 100 kg of copper concentrate and they tell him, no, it has little copper there, we are going to give you only 100 kwacha. We want them to bring to the Mineral Reserve Agency. That will function just like FRA. Imagine FRA, when you have 100 bags, you take to FRA. No one is going to ask you whether you are a registered farmer or you're a peasant farmer with a license. There's nothing like that. You have a product. That is the kind of government we want to see as leadership movement. We want young people who are participating in mining to be able to take their minerals to the Mineral Reserve Agency so that we can grow our reserve, so that we can have a reserve for copper, reserve for manganese, reserve for gold, reserve for cobalt, reserve for uranium and everything. Meanwhile, as government, we cannot stand idly by and wait for Zambians to do their part. We need also to participate. We are going to see ZNS mines dotted around. And in this case, if we have ZNS mines, we have ZNS state farms in every district, you are going to see that the grade 12s with certificates are not enough to participate in the mining sector or in the agriculture sector. We need every young person, educated or not educated, as long as he has energy. And the ZNS we are talking about is a ZNS that has got many departments. If you have a talent in sewing, knitting, you have a department for knitting. We need uniforms. If you have a talent in bricklaying, you have a department for building in ZNS. If you have a talent in painting, we have a department in painting in ZNS. If you have a talent in energy, digging, picks and shovels, you go to ZNS mines. If you have a talent in agriculture, there are people who are natural farmers, you have a place in state farms. This is about educated or not educated. We all have something to contribute to the development of this country. Whether walisambira na mtawasambira bonse twalikwata ichabupe chatwita titalanta noti chakwewati na tukwate obuteko bulero shafa mapepa to na kwata grade 12 certificate otaukwete ba grade 12 certificate ba grade 12 nama 15 points ngasa develop ichalo ifefe akwatule mona ZNS ile sta advertiser tawe kanofena mkwata ama 16 points nangula ama 15 points olo mwala join tatulefwa pamonga ba leadership movement tulefwa ZNS which is versatile iya kwate putulefi apusana pako bati umuntu ngali kwate talanta lyakubira aisanga mZNS alabira umute talanta ili akukula aisanga mZNS alakula aingira muchiputula chakula. Umuntu alikwate talanta ili akupenta aingira mZNS aya kuchiputula chakupenta alapenta. Umuntu alikwate talanta ili akuimba alikwata maka aya ku ZNS kuma maini twambo kuimba omukuba iyo tulanda pamonga ba leadership movement pantu twalishwa ko bati umuntu wonse whether walisambira na kutawasambira bonse twalikwate ocholesa tupera a talent. And this is exactly what Ibrahim Traore is doing. You cannot have a society that has used education as if it's tribalism, you know, where if you are not educated, you don't have anything to offer to the country. If you are educated, you have something. That is not what we are talking about as leadership movement. We know that every person has got something to contribute. And this is specifically why we want a system of government that is able to tap into what is best in every Zambian. You are not going to see these street vendors and street kids complaining and cadres who are now angry at their government because the government they pushed in has got nothing to offer to them. They only think for the educated elites. That is not the purpose. Education is not meant to part society between educated or the uneducated. Education is meant to provide support at levels. But those people who did not have chance to get the education, they have space in the economy. And that is what we are speaking to as leadership movement.
You have knowledge on high tech, you know, and of course, I'm bringing you into this issue. I don't want us to spend most of the time, but you know, there's a cyber law that has been put in place, and just bring us to speed with your understanding around what cyber security is, which I am sure you're by now very privy to, and you've probably studied it and analyzed it. Is this meant to take care of Zambians, or is this meant to exploit Zambia's freedom?
First of all, let me give you the background of cybersecurity laws. We as a country, actually, this should have happened like a long time ago, because having an ICT background, I understand these things very well. We need a cyber law that protects the Zambian people from crimes and all that. And we have experts for that. And we can actually moderate cyber crimes. But we are worried when government brings a law with the notion that we want to clamp down maybe journalism or, you know, the freedom of speech and all that. And when we scan through the cyber law, much of it is just okay. It's very good. It protects the Zambian people. But we are worried about certain contentious statements or laws within the Cyber Security Act that may infringe on human rights and the freedom of speech, and also may actually box the kind of investigative journalism that you, the journalists, may want to do because of that. So we can only wish that the UPND government does not use that cyber law to clamp down on the opposition, to clamp down on freedom of speech, and to clamp down on investigative journalism. Otherwise, if that happens, then that cyber law would be a weapon, a very vicious weapon to clamp down that. And it has the potential to do that. We only hope that it was not meant for that. Because when we go through the same lines, they can be used to clamp down any journalistic, investigative journalism. You can go to jail for actually recording a certain program. You can go to jail for sharing certain information that could be informative. But the government may think this can be a hazard to the security of government wings, for instance. So these are the issues. If we, the Zambian people, understand where our rights end and where our human rights end, and the fact that we should be able to live investigative journalism, we should be able to live free speech. If that's the case, then we'll be good to go. But if government uses this, then Zambians will see for themselves that this is meant only to clamp down on free speech. As for now, we have not seen that, but we expect the UPND government to make sure that they don't go there, because that is detrimental to the progress of this country. We want free speech. We want Zambians to be able to freely interact, and we want investigative journalism to take place in the country. Otherwise, this bill has been signed. There's nothing we can say. I would have loved that certain clauses are removed personally, because I know the dangers to them. I've analyzed it, but then we cannot change the things. We are now observing. We are looking at the government of the UPND clearly, and should anything be used in the cyber law, we are going to speak out, because we want to be informed.
So are there anything that you, if you came to power next year, you would reverse or change to that law? Are those the ones that you would strongly change?
Definitely. There are certain clauses that are there in the Cyber Security Act that may be used. I can give you an example of it's like the way you hear the dual technology. You have heard about dual technology that can be used both for military or for civilian uses, like drones.
Yeah.
You can purchase a drone as a civilian, but you can purchase that drone and militarize it and weaponize it and use it to kill people. That is where the security bill lies. It is a bill that can be used actually to protect civilian state of affairs, improve on their security, but it can be used to be weaponized so viciously against all dissent, against all opposition, against anything that is opposed to the ruling political government, and it can be used either way. So it's a dual, it's a dual technology, so to say. In terms, it can be used to protect the civilians or the society through cyber crimes and all that, but the government itself can use it to for intrusion into Zambians and see whatever they are doing and actually clamp down on dissent and use that law to actually prosecute someone who spoke something that can be interpreted as unacceptable from the point of government.
So would you say the UPND government, when in opposition, said they would not sign such a law, and now that they've done it, would you say they were wrong when they were in opposition to have even thought of not signing such a law?
They were thinking, they read the act and they saw that can be used for both sides. It can be used to clamp down on dissent. It can be used for many things, to criminalize all those postings we saw by the UPND. Actually, with the cyber law, can be turned against them, and they can be prosecuted for such certain statements that the UPND in opposition did. They can be used and prosecuted, and the opposition president then, President Hakainde Hichilema, would be jailed for certain postings that he made at that time if it were enacted.
Right.
But now he is in power, and we only hope that he does not weaponize the Cyber Security Act, because when that cyber law is weaponized, it can be used for this clamping down of dissent, investigative journalism. Imagine you record a conversation and you see that here the government was actually intended to do certain things, and it's incumbent upon an investigative journalist to inform the Zambian people that actually this thing is taking place. Maybe there is a tender that is happening that is meant to be given to foreigners, for instance, and then that journalist publishes that information because there was a conversation in some ministry because they want to settle for some foreign investor, and then that is published, and then that department says this is sensitive information, it was not supposed to be leaked, and it infringes on the security of government, and that person will be in jail for more than 10 years, and it will end there. There will be nothing like, oh, it is investigative journalism, it's about public, it's about informing the Zambian people about what is happening so that the Zambians can be aware. They can change it instantly, and you can be liable for jailing, just as simple as that. That is how vicious the cybercrime bill is.
Right.
But when it is used by a very responsible government, it can be okay. So we only hope that the UPND, like in many things that we have observed, we hope that it is not meant to actually clamp down dissent of the Zambian people. We are yet to see, and we'll be talking about this if we see that it is actually used to weaponize the airwaves and ensure that no one actually expresses themselves, then we, the Zambian people, must rise up and defend our rights and if repeal such a bill.
Well, this is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue here on the Happy Wood of 5 FM radio. We are also live on our stations. We are live on Tuta FM in Mansa, live on ZFM in Cap, live on Platinum Radio in Indola. Don't forget, we are also live in Kawe on Nice FM. And our guest morning is Dr. Richard Silumbe. He is president of the Leadership Movement Political Party. And we will take phone calls for would like to interact with him. And we'll trick your comment and questions to just a minute each so that we can accommodate as many as possible. So the number you're calling us on is 0955 221515. Let's take this call. Good morning.
Mr. Zach,
how are you today?
I'm fine. This is Mulenga the Bullet from Luapula. But Silumbe.
Mulenga. Right.
Mulenga.
You've got minutes.
Mwali wa matamubikamo vulgar language. Kale nambo kukonka no kuchita contribute sana na lero twakumana ngo bakasoma. Lero so mwachas kapa university na mumamanya tamwasuke. Mwege shepo question futi ba university yotumfwa bomfuichi. Ejo mulandire natumfwe ndi bazumberero na abamipshama kwa ndi bazaki kamwira mulavyenga nabatala la mulela ndatiyo mpera chance balesa mkumipshama question yakwe batiyami lubanya po kaba mipshati finchi mwachitapo mu Zambia finchi ama Zambia bala chitapufu kwe bati Silumbe bachitesine finchi mutuweve vyo mwachitira po ama Zambia pantu akaindero taraisa pali bu president twalishibya tyakaindi batengombe ali nibisha abantu abachita control ngombe akaindi ali kwa chama campaign akaindi ali kwa finchi na finchi eve 20 even shine na mamuleri yeshi ni akaima company yako akainde ya moyamo nomba imo finchi mwachitapo nangu mpere confidence mo kweba timufumo kulasha because imamule baba nenwa titi baishishe alonga imwe kulasha wa mituminyo kweba tikabi because na imo pagwe batimufume kulasha kula mwasa panga pati bali wa mituminyo kweba tikapange pati twakula fundinga tamulero ndolola bwino imamulero ndolola lefi yaba nenu ifi yenu tamulero ndolola ukuisa kuli cyber crime muntu ngaba wale bishenga bale tenganga pamushero waba wale yeti batira ulindoshi baleta polisi pa community ero wambo kujandaula weka kie pachipanda yo pabalanda tipali mwana kashuko etefu no nalakuka kaidi tatumfwana naba bamjara kuti bakusonta ni suspect pa company babika ama kamera jati fintu fileru basana wambo okudandaula so cyber crime inenga ndachite into every straight getting dandaula look at your social media imolene mama opposition mwaingisha abaiki bambo kulatuka nenseri ushe social media lyakale nangu lyabakainde bakenyo kuisaina efo charges kulatume finti yako every jenga waisura Facebook ni chipali finti yako pali finti amaponyo tuye tamba ifya mungulu daily why mataula samba na kumenso waya mkukopa abantu mu hospital poster wasanga accident schedule tusha abantu wambo kulakopa ule chitanani nole poster Vaneba Valerwa Wakopa ni Zambia is.
Ramulenga, thank you. Thank you very much. Your minute is up, unfortunately. Yes, very much for that. Let me take some more on 0955 221515. That's the number you're calling us on. Good morning. Nasenza bwino ba Oswald mwa sevenza bwa.
Bwino bwanji.
Ndara mkamba mshana ni sana pesa zivovuta ndara bado unaweza kama kwa inashika ku Linton ngamea wala kuponya drama hizo watu pesa kama kansika kwa hizo hapendi wa maganiza ankozaki wamuchonda una pesa ndara unga ponya matimu kwa tauza na drama niza kuchira mzigo mtu pesa kama na kakaje manchi Sasa wishika na wandani bana kamba wandani walisema na waipendia lakini time ya utagende basi wakapana mimi nakuja kapana kuja kwa minister hizi kapana kutoa materi sio wishika mzame so nifahamu nyange kwa sababu bana hapo na mmea kapani mlandu wanapanga na kusimuna ngani mwisho mmoja
Ziko mama nyingi Oswald. Let me take one more on 0955 221515. That's the number you're calling us on if you'd like to be a part of our conversation. Our guest this morning is Dr. Richard Silumbe. He is president of the Leadership Movement. And maybe let me pick out a few from Facebook. We have Cynthia Kabwe Mubanga, who says too much theory. And he doesn't want to talk about his personal life. Who will vote for you? All right. And then I've got Jack Jones Chandala, who says theories and theories. Compare our young, I think he mentions Munia and Binwell to Traore. Also, he goes on to say, also, do I get it? Okay, yeah, I have it. Also, who has verified these nice Bukinabe theories? All right. And there is a conversation also around, there's a debate around this whole Burkina Faso issue is not a reality, and it will be wrong for you to use it. I'll give you one from GMGM on Facebook who talks about it actually. Please, let's be frank and Google now, and you will find that Burkina Faso has not paid all its debt. Please, it's owing China, it's owing Australia, IMF, huge sums of money. Let's not Facebook cheat people in Zambia over what is happening in Burkina Faso. Please Google and show people if you would like. Now, let me let you have a reaction to that, if you can briefly do so that I can take some more calls.
So I'll start with just the immediate statement from these
GM.
naysayers. GM,
Yeah.
but GM will have a naysayer. That just because you have failed with your government, don't think that everyone is a failure. Yini attitude yako ati apantu imona mufirwa omuntu ngachita succeed atawe alipanda alishitisha nani kane ku Dubai alishitisha omutima ku Dubai. You have seen what Traore is doing. We have seen his vehicles, electric cars. We have seen that. And you are there and saying, they've not paid all the bills. Ask your government, how much have they paid? Nothing. And you can even be proudly saying, no, those things have to be verified. Verified by who? You are colonized. That's the problem. You think only a white man, when he tells you that, he has done this, that's when you listen. This type of colonialism in your mind, the colonial mindset that thinks that only foreign things are better. The colonial mentality that thinks that only foreigners are going to develop this country. That is what we are fighting against as leadership movement. This is why when you see the likes of great leaders have come in these countries like Tanzania, we saw how Magufuli worked and he had so many sanctions. People are saying bad things. But when you go to Tanzania, you see development, massive development, because the colonizer, the master there, doesn't want to say something good about a country that has owned its gold, that is able to produce, that was even doing foreign policy in the likes of the Tanzania when Magufuli was there. So now, because you want everyone to be relishing what is the lack of development that we are seeing in this country, and you think that these theories, we should be. This is why we are here, because we want to panel beat your heads. You think practicality is such kind of lousiness that we are seeing today, and that is what is practical. When we are saying, we are talking about what can be possible, you think it's theories. But mind you, their generations are coming up. We are going to have a new generation that will not think like you colonized people. They are going to take a new look at things and demand a revolutionary approach to everything. the way the likes of Kenneth Kaunda in the early 1960s produced a generation. There were old people like you then, 20 years in the 1940s, who believed that a white man can never come out. Only foreigners can rule this country. Until young people came up and said, enough is enough. When old people were sanctioning the likes of UNIP and Kenneth Kaunda from campaigning in those villages because of indabas, and they were being given money by colonial masters, them they said enough is enough. And they changed the trajectory of this country, and we got independent. These are the revolutionary spirits that we are trying to invoke today. We need to start thinking about our natural resources. When you think it is normal to have copper in this country and you don't even have a reserve for it, not even 1 kg, and you have a president who is moving around empty-handed, asking, begging, kneeling down, and you think it's normal, that is practical. And you think it's not practical for us, for the leadership movement, to create the Mineral Reserve Agency and get all that diamond in Mumba, by the way, where Zambians are able to mine diamond, gold, but that gold cannot be sold anywhere apart from the Chinese. And someone gets gold and he goes to a Chinese, the Chinese says, this gold, I can only buy it at 200 kwacha. And the Chinese are getting rich out of our gold there, because you have a government that does not think for the Zambian people, a government that doesn't take any interest in our natural resources. Its preoccupation is about foreigners taking over our own resources. When we say as leadership movement, we are going to have the Mineral Reserve Agency, resident there in Mumbwa, resident there in Kasenseri, resident in Mpika, where they are able to see gold in the mountains. If someone picks gold and brings to the Mineral Reserve Agency, they sell it at a normal price. And we are going to have gold reserves here in Zambia. We are going to have copper reserves, because those Jerabos in Chingola who are every day digging copper, and we have sent ZNS there to stop them from digging copper because we want a foreigner to come and get that copper. We are going to have the Mineral Reserve Agency resident there, so that whoever digs the copper, wherever they can find it, they bring it to the Mineral Reserve Agency, and we stockpile copper concentrate, and we start processing that copper, and the country finally is going to have the minerals in reserve. Ask yourself, if you are thinking these are theories, is it normal for you to live in a country where you can't even have 1 kg of copper in reserve, and you have a president who is moving around asking for loans, asking for aid, asking for whatever he wants to ask, empty-handed? Yet you have copper, yet you have gold, yet you have manganese, yet you have everything that God has blessed you with, and you see these ideas as theories. You only respond when you are given a 50 kwacha and a chitenge material and you are dancing and you think that is development. That, my friend, will never take you anywhere. You still belong to that group of people, those who were going for slave trade. That time when we had 200 Masikra men, they are rounded up by one white man, being whipped, being put in chains, and they are taken, 200 Masikra men, because they believe that, oh, huyu ni Muzungu, this one is Muzungu. Do you know what Muzungu means? Something divine. You think this is a divine person, and you are taken to America to go and work for the rest of your lives. That is the kind of society we have here today. And we as leadership movement are here to revolutionize, to plant new seeds that would grow in our future generations, that says enough is enough. We cannot go with this kind of mindset. We want to own our copper. We want to own our gold. We want to own our manganese and benefit from our manganese, our copper, our uranium. The other time I saw, about 5 years ago, someone was being jailed 25 years imprisonment because he was found with 2 kgs of uranium. He got from from Lumwana, and your government will never talk about that. That in Solwezi there is uranium, because uranium is mined and it's escorted by white people to the airport, and it leaves this country. That person was found with 2 kg of uranium, and he was jailed 25 years imprisonment. And the judges were even making fun of him in the High Court. No, don't even come in the dock. Just stand on the entrance. We hear a teaspoon of uranium can power a submarine for 1 year. And you have uranium. It's illegal. And they slap him with 25 years imprisonment. What type of laws are those? Those are the colonial laws we are going to repeal as leadership movement when we come into power. All the laws, including the mask, the wigs, these colonized judges are wearing. You cannot have a wig. And we have been talking about this. And we are happy that Ibrahim Traore managed to get rid of them. You have white man's wig on your head, and you are presiding over a case with colonial laws, and you jail someone for 25 years for having uranium, which is Zambian, is found in Zambia. It's not a foreign thing. And that person should be selling that uranium, and we should be having reserves for uranium. Those are the laws we want to repeal. And we are
because of time. I would like you to go to the next caller. I think Mlenga raised a couple of issues as well. Let's be brief so that I can give you more callers. I know that my phone keeps buzzing. Just be brief on your comments. Let's go to Mlenga. I think Mlenga, including Chilufya, and a number of them actually are talking about how do we vote for you if we don't know you?
It doesn't matter.
We must know the person we are putting in leadership.
Let me tell you this. At the first glance, when I come here on media, this is a platform for allowing people to share views, and we educate ourselves. We are in the process of re-educating ourselves. And the purpose of this meeting is not for you to start knowing what I do, what I'm engaged in. That is not necessary.
Because
listen,
they don't want to put a thief in government. If what you have, I mean, this is the honest truth. Zambians have reached a point where they are getting careful with who they are putting in power.
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Many people were aroused by the fact, oh, we are putting a rich man in power. Oh, he will not steal. He is rich. We are putting an opposition. He has money and all that. What have we gotten out of that? That is the thing we want to end. It's not about the measure of what you have that can give you leadership. That mentality ended in 2021.
But it also gives you capacity, because then we want to know whether you are capable of transforming this country by your history. It's only important.
Let me tell you this. Many people know my history, and I'm here for a long time. You are not going, like, for instance, you talked about my history. I'm not here to talk about what I do. I'll never do that. But other people will do. I cannot be talking about what I do, but people who know me will avail to the fact that we are capable of doing anything. We are capable of leading.
Does that mean you would not be able to declare your assets? For example,
I can declare
because it is a requirement.
Yes, I can do that. In fact, we did that when we were filing in 2021. Yeah. I declared my assets, but the president today didn't declare. So now look at the difference. So people have theories about the current president.
No, but what it is if it's a constitutional requirement that you declare assets before elections, it means that every leader did declare, including Hakainde Hichilema. It's the only issue is it's not publicized. It's the issue of him publicizing what he declared. But declaration is a must, meaning that everyone who goes to the presidential election, you are required to declare, meaning everyone did. The president did. We just probably don't know what he declared.
What we are talking about here is that we should not dwell so much in personal things.
Let me give you a text then. Let me give you a text because it's in line with what you are talking about. So I'll give you a text. This one is from Chilufya, who is based in the UK, in Leicester. He says, Zach, I'm excited by the way Dr. Silumbe is articulating issues. Credit to him, looks like he prepared well for the program. I agree with most of the things he has said. I don't agree with him going ahead with elections when an aspiring candidate withdraws, though, all right? Unfortunately, that's the way democracy works. It's what if one withdraws because suddenly they have gotten ill or you are involved in an accident? Then he goes on to say his knowledge on nuclear power energy is excellent, but I would want to believe it takes an average 11 years to build a safe power plant. I'm sure he knows about Hinkley Point C being built by the Chinese and through EDF Energy. And sorry, he has to tell me, the vote, what he does if he wants to stand for elections. Looks like he won't declare his assets then.
Well, that is those are issues, and I like the fact that now people want to know more about me.
Right.
But I'll find time to talk about what I do, life history, and everything that I do.
Right.
I think I'll find time, but I thought this time I need to focus on issues.
Let's do so. Let's do so.
Affect
Now
everyone.
now that you are willing to talk about your profile, we'll leave it out for now. But please respond to where you think it's necessary now.
Definitely. So what we are saying is that we want a government that is productive. The only thing that is missing in the UPND is production. There is no spirit of production. And this production can only sprout from industrialization, putting your human capital into work so that you can produce products that in turn now can be traded for money and everything. And how does that production come about? It starts with ensuring that your people are empowered. This is why we talk about land ownership. When we are talking about land ownership with title deeds, many think that land has finished. Somehow we are just making noise because they are happy with just a t-shirt and a chitenge material, and it goes on like that. And then this person is living maybe in Mazabuka or in Northern or in Luapula, is on that piece of land, and that land has got no title. And maybe that land is 3 hectares or 4 hectares. The only time that person will realize that he needed to have title deeds is when they chase him away. When they come to say, oh, this now belongs to the Chinese. We have brought a foreign investor, 200 hectares we are giving to a Chinese. That's when now many people call the leadership movement. And those calls, no one will listen to them because we hear them. When they will call to say, oh, the leadership movement, mutu wafwe kona batufunya panchende. Twalikwata twaikele pano bashikulu bali pano imanda abashikulu ya bapa pene ba mama ba bapa pene n'abafyashi besu twabashika pano pene lero batwita prima squatters batufunyapo. That is when a Zambian realizes that what we say is very important. No country that can develop without taking care of its natural resource, number one, which is land. When you go out there, no one will sell you land so easily. Just here in Botswana, they will not allow you to buy land. It is meant for the indigenous Botswana people. We want Zambia on land with title deeds because that is the starting point. When you have titles, it means that now you have an asset. These villagers, this is why they are flocking to cash for work, social cash transfer. Imagine how can you be giving a 1,000 kwacha social cash transfer to a person who has 5 hectares of land, yet you call them poor. They cannot even afford to cultivate the whole land. They just cultivate a small piece of just there on the land. When they receive FISIP of maybe 2 bags or 1 bag, because they can't even get FISIP or support that can manage them to till the whole lot of land. They have built a thatched house at the corner there, and they live like that, and they say they have a government, and they only wait for social cash transfer with 500 kwacha. We as leadership movement, we say we are going to give title deeds to every Zambian who own a piece of land, because our agenda number one is to empower every Zambian who has a piece of land. You give us, we give you title deeds, because that title will be the foundation. Number one, if we want to give you FISIP, we will look at a title. We are not going to look at your NRC like what is happening today. When people are going for FISIP, they go with their NRCs, and cadres will get 20 bags of fertilizer, and they don't even have where to farm, and they'll be getting that fertilizer and they'll be selling. Meanwhile, we as leadership movement would want only a person with a title. When we see, oh, your land has got 10 hectares, we give you fertilizer, enough for 10 hectares. You have 2 hectares, enough for 2 hectares. And by the way, this title will be given to every Zambian who owns a piece of land, just free of charge, just the way you get NRCs, the way you get voters cards, the way you get ballot papers. We hear many people, they always castigate us. When we are talking about, oh, title deeds, they say, oh, how can you give title deeds? They are very expensive, 10,000 kwacha. That is a scam. That is a scam. A title is a piece of paper, just like this. Your name is written there, Government Republic of Zambia, and the number of hectares. That is a piece of paper. We produce more expensive pieces of paper like a voter's card, a ballot paper which is printed in Dubai. We cannot fail to give a person a title deed because we want to curb foreigners. I don't want to die knowing that 100 years from now, the whole Zambia will be totally different. 90% will be owned by foreigners, and the Zambians will be squatters in their own country. So we want Zambians to own land with title deeds so that when it comes to foreigners, like foreigners, the Chinese who are coming to Mansa, they should just get a group of people with titles and say, we are forming a company with you. We want to start growing this. We want to set up a mine. And those people with title deeds, they will be paid because they are shareholders to their land. They are the owners of the land. And foreigners will never go scot-free. Zambians will have a stake in any foreign entity. Imagine the whole Umwana, which has been given to foreigners. Imagine if it was sitting on a number of title deeds by Zambians. All those Zambians would be rich Zambians by now. They will be paying. In Silumbe, where ShopRite sits today, it was land for some family who are devastated today. They got that land. They were tilling their land, they cultivating from there. Now they chased them away. Children are just in the streets. The mother is devastated. They don't have anything. Yet that ShopRite should have been paying to them rentals. This is what we want to do. This is why I always talk about things. Like, for instance, I'm forced to talk about where I'm coming from. I stay in New Kasama, where along Ring Road there, where I stay, plots around there. I wanted to inquire how much they sell. A 50 by 50 is 2.6 million kwacha. A 50 by 50 piece of land. Then I asked myself, why should here in New Kasama, near just our president passes my house every time there, just near. But that land, a 3 hectares, is costing 20 million kwacha. I said to myself, if this place is that expensive, yet you just move around in Kawata and the cost reduces drastically. You go to Mazabuka there, you give it land at a song. You go to Chongo, you buy it at 1 kwacha. You go to in Mansa, I don't know whether at 10 kwacha you can even get maybe, I don't know how much space, because it's on title. That land is very expensive there in New Kasama, where the president lives, because all land is on title. That land has value. So when we are talking about these things as leadership movement, these are not theories. And you are praising your government. We want a Zambian to own land, so that if he cannot do anything there, he has a paper that this is his land, he has title deeds, and a foreigner can come and rent that land. And immediately when we do this as leadership movement, our land in Zambia will have value. it will not only be New Kasama there, but all land, whether it is in Mansa, in Mazabuka, every land will never be sold on a song. No foreigner will take advantage of any land. That is empowerment number one. Because we have followed through with colonial laws. The colonizer came to Zambia, advertised in the Herald newspaper in the UK to have settlers, white settlers, to come to Zambia and be given 3,000 hectares each, and they titled it. And they chased away Zambians on fertile lands. They went as squatters, and white settlers came. And all this land we hear, government land, it was designated by foreigners, by colonial masters, to say, this is government land, it has value, it can have title deeds. All that land is customary land, is by chiefs, and it is worthless. And many people defend this. They say, no, how are you going to get land by for the chiefs? It is customary. I don't believe that there is any land in this country that has got no value, that is called customary, where chiefs. This is why chiefdoms are poor. You think it is normal. It's by design. It was designed by colonial master to make that land no papers, so that it is valueless. We want to add value to that land. The chief must have title deeds on his land. Every settler in a chiefdom should have titles. That is value creation. And the Zambians are colonized. They don't see this. They only think that we should continue with colonial systems. We as leadership movement are here to break all the colonial shackles, all the colonial systems. We are revolutionary. We want to remove all that thing that we think it is normal, including the education system that has been colonized. We are given colonial education, and we think it is normal to produce an engineer who only looks for jobs. You have the School of Mines that produces a lot of engineers in the mining sector, yet you have not even one mine owned by a Zambian, and you think that is education worth keeping. That is not the education worth keeping. We are going to get rid of all the education system that is worthless, that doesn't add value to this to our system, and that produces more of anti-government people than problem solvers, people who could add value to this country and develop their systems and come up with companies. We want graduates to be mushrooming with companies, producing, and government supporting them. That is who we are. That is what we are promoting as leadership movement.
Great. Time is not with us. I'll take a few calls. Not necessarily you should respond to them, but we would randomly just.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Thank you. Out.
When a moderator comes, like Silumbe, they will pass a chance to
Kamban.
We want to greet Honorable Mkandawere, who is a manager there, including the popcorn president. Silumbe, don't talk as if you were a pastor. When I come, started doing charitable work like Mulenga taught you. For example, you come to garden, Silumbe Road, or Tumangira Garden Road. Like our president, and I go and Bakuma Manatakumatero, they remove Mahatma Gandhi, sponsoring user students. You start that way. National service is not the issue where you can only, if you need the budget from Minister of Finance. Are you with me, Honorable Silumbe?
I'm getting you, Dr.
Only the national service. We want industry. Right now, as I'm telling you in Zambia, we've got only one industry, Trade Kings. Today, if Kings grow, we had the industry, the fortunes. Use it to 100,000. Careful, finish it. So when you see and poor, including you, see, some of them are being very junky. It's not to say Wapuna Konkala Majunk because of the police of government. I want only to aid my council in Lusaka. Many potholes who are being paid. Let us end the road shading with low cost. Let us implement our president as we've been told you we are going to bring solar. We want people like Teta Mashimba who are in the presidential planning department to do quickly. Like cancer medicine, right now government is spending a lot of billion. Let us take those in medicine here in Zambia. Those are good points where government can take than only dream national. So when you go to graveyard, council have even failed to cut the grass to graveyard.
Thank
So
you,
those are
thank
points.
you, thank you, Dr. Proud. Let me quickly take some more.
You cannot have industries when your government does not spearhead in doing anything. ZNS is the starting point. Even people are going to make other industries who learn from ZNS. Don't think that you come up with industries from the blues. You need to start doing something as government.
Let me take some more calls. Good morning.
You can as well say, welcome to Lusaka, Governor.
Yes.
How are you, moderator?
Not too bad. Thank you for calling. Governor of Ntumbachushi, you're welcome.
Mr. President, be sincere and honest to the citizens whose people you seek their mandate to govern this country. It will be vital, my brother. You know, when you talk about delimitation, you know that if a councillor is available in that particular area, then the people will have more access to him. That's what you know, deep down your heart. And it's not in the interest of you, Mr. President, to start demeaning the callers like DM to say you don't even have upper quickala. No, it's not in your interest. We should respect each other. Just like we don't know about you, you should respect us as callers. So, Mr. President, what I'm telling you, when you come on radio, tell the Zambian people what you do, the sincere things that is deep down your heart. This constitution lacunas, and it needs to be amended. It needed to be amended like yesterday. From 1964, we have never amended this constitution. Zambia, it's a population of 20 million people. Look at Mandevu constituency, for instance. It is from Olympia. It goes to Mandevu. It goes to Chipata compound. It goes to Charissa, Makode, 1 MP. And is not available for people to see him. So even if you hate a government, like the president of Hakainde Hichilema, when they bring a good bill, opposition leaders, we urge you to swallow your pride and support a constitution amendment process. We urge you to support it, even if you don't like the people that are in power.
Thank you, Governor.
You know,
because of time.
In conclusion, we know that UPND government means well, and we know that UPND government is on course to change the lives of the Zambian people. And the opposition, but deliberately, they are misleading the people of Zambia. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Governor, for that. Let me take some more on 0955-221515. Good morning.
Mwauka bwanji.
Mwauka bwanji.
Mwauka bwino. Va president muli mu studio mwauka bwa.
Bwino muli bwanji.
Amake Angela pa garden.
Yewe amake Angela.
Va president mukamba chabe bwino. Osamvererawo tumisa vamene varadia kutuma CDF mana. Mavuto amene tipitamo ife mazambia ni akulu maningi. Awane mumvera kuti vasapota kuti vafuna kuti vachitamendi constitution sane veve pamene vanhu venza kukampena ni amene yona sevenza kuti vawini. So veve ngavakangwa kusevenza vasaende kuliva maamendi constitution ololero manje ndiye pane vangaone kuti vadiwe ma constituencies yakuru ine ni Mandevu constituency. So ivo pamene vakambawo itizani kutikambirako ife mapuwa Zambiani wamene tienda kutantha minaunga 02 muza wa president kuno ku garden kuti ungawaze DNS unaone chakoli 2 months ikwana tienda mu 3 months kange 9 suoneka ungo ero babwere manja TI basebenza osabamverera wane batuma wane baraje ku ma CDF mane ndio kambako kwanga
zikomo make Angela, let me take another one. Not necessarily that we should respond, but I just want to squeeze in views from the listeners. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Mr. President.
Fine, and you?
I'm okay. You are speaking to Mr. Chikuvabe.
Yes, Mr. Chikuvabe. Be very brief.
Okay, Mr. President, you are speaking. When this country needs action, as you are talking about, allow this country in mess because the government has so much focus on consumption. These teachers, ZNLs, whatsoever, these are actual jobs. Now, the way you are speaking, this can predict production. That is the only way. If you can look at the agriculture sector, it has already failed. The government has already failed in terms of agriculture. Yes, in terms of running the market. We heard that they are giving tax incentives from the which is not good. They have seen that they have failed with their CDF. They have come a constitution called delimitation, holding that the only development of Suez is willingness. Where is the central government? Where is the capital project? You see? They pumped 6 million. If you can calculate about 4 years, how much money they have brought in the constitution and see the if they are developing the constitution, nothing. You see? Now they have come on board and say, let us delimitate. These people, they are failures, failed. You see?
Thank you, Mr. Chukwuabe. Unfortunately, because of time. Thank you very much, Mr. Chukwuabe. All right, cheers. And of course, let me squeeze in one or two more on 0955-221515. Good morning.
Good morning, Zach. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
Fine. Mr. Zach, please. Mr. Zach.
Yes, please. And you've got a minute. We're running out on time. Go straight to your point. Yeah.
Let me take a look to the radio first so I get myself clear. About one hand, Mr. Zach.
Hello?
Oh, Mr. Zach, I'm now okay.
Yes, please.
Mr. Zach,
Yes, please.
I want to ask you this question that's been pending me all along.
Please ask the question.
Yeah, but this Mr. Silumbe discussed with the president. Or someone resigns, yes, let him go and figure it out. But Mr. President, if he somehow in a way you die, and there's a Mr. in there, he dies. So can we go back and subscribe another authority and stand on our behalf, or Mr. in to stand on his behalf? Please, we need a clause to go back to nominations. Please. This one is very important. We don't want the one who dies, you go straight and you go get paid. No. Maybe it will be the president himself to come back. Maybe it will be Mr. Silumbe who will be shot or die. Anyhow, please, Mr. Answer me this one. It's very important. It has been very neat. Thank you, Mr. Black.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Banda. Of course, he's appealing that we need to get back to an issue where if one resigns, that is obviously on the amendment of the Constitution, that when one dies, we should go back to nominations and not proceed with the elections. And he's pleading that should stay. Let me quickly take.
But the idea is that
Hello?
all the amendments they want to maintain.
Good afternoon. I don't know whether
Good
it's
afternoon. Yes,
morning.
it is. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Mr. Nguni.
Mr. Nguni, yes.
You know, the ideas, we are not against the ideas, except they've come at the wrong time. So the best that we can do is, let's first see, we vote next year. And thereafter, immediately we can start looking at that.
You mean the Constitution amendment? That's what you're
Yes.
Okay, great.
It is coming at the wrong time because knowing these politicians, they are triggered. They will add other things that you may not know. By the time you realize, it's too late. So the best is, let's put that thing aside at the moment. And then after we vote, immediately we embark on that constitution change.
Thank you.
As for now, let it be the way it is. Why are they in a hurry now? Why? Thank you. That is my contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngoni. That's our last caller. I'll give you just a minute to just conclude if you would like to also quickly touch on one or two that you may have picked from the callers. Yeah.
Yes, so we have heard from the callers natumfo kwebati ababantu nabafirwa ba UPND bafirwa so kanshafta bafirwa bamono kwebati kwashara 1 year nomba balanda tifirafine bakere nomba tibafiretemo. So iyo constitution amendment fwebe na Zambia bonse fwe bale tontonkanya tufire twakana no kumono kwebati ubu buteko nabufirwa tabufire bwatampa nomba okulachinja constitution tulefu abachite fix economy no tukuchita fix constitution fyonse fibaleletamu efyama cyber crime fyonse fifire monekoko bati mingalato fye balefu okubomfyefi pako bati bachite mingalato shakubabwesha mu power so kanshi ifo pamonga ba leadership movement natukana okubati awe ifo tulefu okumona kubuteko obo kubombesha pako bati abena Zambia basekeramo ifo tulefu aya ubuteko obo bulange abena Zambia okubati bwafikirisha ofo bwala ile abena Zambia twawufire atawe bakabwesha dola ile yafe ile nina bakabwesha obunga bule yafe bule nina bakabwesha fuel price ile yafe ile nina nomba fishi twalaloleshako pakuba tuba trust y'abantu ifevo tufire tulemona pamonga abena Zambia ife pamonga ba leadership movement tulando kweba tulefwa echalo ichiri productive. That's why tuleperera ma example ya Murumendo Ibrahim Traore uwakweba ati nikanye mukubombesha na tulanga muli short time kubati na kula nuclear power plant tabalechula na malaiti yo na pange fintu namba no pange myoto kanamba no pange ndeke munshita fe inono muli 2 years nalipira nenkongole inkongole sho ba UPND bafiriro muli 4 years kulipira kofinangu ni 1 kwacha bailanda pali structural adjustment katwishinga ni debt restructuring iyo tatwaishwa nofo imininga tapali nefile chitika ubuchushi buleko nkanya pofe kanshi fwebe na Zambia tufile tuambo kutondonga pali production efin tulanda pamonga ba leadership movement tulefwa mwina Zambia onse akwata land na ma title deeds tulefwa mwina Zambia onse akwata ku ulubali musa develop ichalo chesu kanshi balabonsa baiperesha balefu okuchita ukwampana na ba leadership movement na ala mpira koka namba mkwai 0973 607500 kimwa tuchita contact pako batwalashanya bwino twambo kushe chipani cha leadership movement pantu chipani chimwe chikwete fya mano pafi pani fyonse na tumonoko batabambi balelanda pafintu ifite tifikule ne chalo lelo ife tulelanda pakule chalo kanshi balabonsa balefo kutuchita contact pa namba la 0973 607500 na totela mkwai.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for coming. And we really appreciate that we had this conversation. And we can only wish you all the best. And I'm sure we'll talk soon again.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. That was Dr. Richard Silumbe. He is president of the Leadership Movement Party. And that was our guest today. And we will certainly be back next week at the same time on the Tuesday edition. But don't forget to join us for yet another edition, which is a Thursday edition of the Burning Issue. Remember that I also need to thank our partner radio stations that carried this particular program live. Tuta FM in Mansa, thank you very much. And of course, ZFM in Kapiri, and Spice FM in Kabwe, and Platinum Radio in Ndola. So from all of us here is take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.
Tune in next week for another edition of The Burning Issue, and thank you for your participation.